So I have this wonderful habit of taking something like a shelf from the store that you put together yourself and just kind of putting it together without thoroughly like looking at the instructions. We have a general idea of what something should look like in our minds, and so we structure it that way because we've seen it before. And the problem is we often do that with people as well. We will fail to read the instructions, which means something specific about this person. And just like with some of the shelves I've built, I've had to take something back down and put it back up again in the right way because something was backwards. Well, we can do that with our thinking and with our actions and the way we engage with people. So read the instructions means give that person benefit of the doubt, because even though you may have bought the same shelf from the same store, it's the same brand, something might just be a little bit different, whether there was a failing in quality, whether they just changed something as a manufacturer's way to improve customer service. You never know. But even if it's the same, it's still not the same because it's still different. And so even though people are the same and we might look the same or act the same, whether it is through genetics or we act the same through culture or custom, we're still all different. And we all still come from a different experience and background, similar to that shelving unit. It comes from a different background than the last one. What I mean by that is the shipping may have been different. It may have been slightly damaged. It may have been in a hot truck where some of that wood is a little warped. And again, quality may not have put all of the bolts in it, which means that a person just might have a few things going on in their life where they are not all there together. And I say that respectfully. But that's why we read the instructions and give each person their own benefit of doubts rather than say, well, this is how the last one was, so this is how I'm going to put it together. Because we can fail ourselves and fail those around us when we do those things. So, I've done the same with like a food processor. I have an idea of how it works, and it's not exactly how it worked, and now I don't have a food processor, and that's okay, or a juicer, whatever it was. But again, the point is, read the instructions, and that goes beyond just not judging a book by its cover. Judging a book by its cover certainly speaks to just taking somebody like on their physical appearance, and that's a bit discriminatory. We want to stay away from that. But reading the book is somebody telling their story a lot of times. Instructions I look at as something a little bit more I direct in the way that we can interact with people. If there's a differentiation, maybe there's not. Maybe I'm just trying to be too deep here. But I've had people not read the instructions with me. And I've not read the instructions with other people. And we learn and we grow from those things. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just a process that we have to get to where we understand that each of us is different. And when we want to be treated as the individual that we are, we should then in return reflect that outwardly and treat each person as their own individual. It's kind of like the Dr. King content of character. Over used to be color of skin, but I've expounded upon that, and not just color of skin, but it can be socioeconomic status. It can be so many different things that we can be divided by. Choice of religion, orientation when it comes to lifestyle. It can be so many different things. So read the instructions. You never know what somebody has within them that may impart something to us. And we may have something like an extra screw that is missing from that box in our drawer because we've grown and we've collected more tools in our toolbox. So we might have something that might be able to help put that shelf together or give that person some new way of thinking that may help them. And sometimes that shelving is going to come with extras that we can put into our toolbox for later. And that is the person that brings something of quality to us that we can say, oh, that's pretty cool. Those moments of epiphany, those lessons that somebody else has learned, but we don't have to go down that hard road to learn the way that they did. And I think there's something special about that. And when we look at reading the instructions, sometimes you will look at the picture on the box, which again is just judging the book by its cover, which again is just looking at somebody and making a decision. I understand about tribalism and people feeling comfortable with people of their own look and things like that, but the world is much more diverse than it was hundreds of years ago, where we had to only trust things and people that looked like us. We have so many integrated neighborhoods and areas that, while I do understand that, I still find it to be somewhat a touch lazy. We, by work, by school, most likely interact with people of other cultures, other ethnicities, possibly other nationalities, other religions. We have the ability to open that pamphlet and start to ask questions about what's in that instruction manual. And often, if you look at some of these instruction manuals, it's 20 pages, but it's 2 pages of your language and then 2 pages of another language and 2 pages of another language, which means it's made for everybody. And that's how we should be looking at these things. Understanding that while I can't always understand all of those things, I can still ask. And even if I don't understand it in my own language, the measurements, what have you, I can still ask. I can still look around. I can still try to read this as completely as possible. We're not alone when we're constructing shelves or relationships. So, read the instructions. The same way you would want somebody to give you those benefit of doubts and not just construct you as a particular thing because they've seen it before. I've seen other people of color before. I know how women are. I know how Muslims are. I know how gay people are, whether straight people, white people, Christians, men. You can run it both ways. But you know what I'm saying. And be cautioned, because we only do ourselves the greatest disservice when we continue to not read those instructions. We can be in a house full of leaning and undone shelves or broken appliances because we didn't learn how to utilize it right, and we tried to do something with it that it wasn't meant to do, or it wasn't meant to be constructed that way. So I think I've made my point. I don't want to ramble, but I definitely want to just, drop that note. I was talking with BJM Philosophy today, and we were kind of having this discussion about people looking at certain circumstances, again, looking at the cover of something, and possibly even being sold what's in the box by a salesperson. Because we come across people who will misinform, and we come across people who will lie. And I can briefly say, in my own situation, most noted, I was lied upon. And many people bought what was on the box. They didn't bother to read the instructions to see what was actually going on or what needed to be understood to formulate and put together a solid final product in the form of a shelf or understanding of what was going on. And that's okay. But a lot of people got the shelf backwards, and a lot of people just had to deconstruct it and reconstruct it, and there you go. Nothing wrong with that. But the particular salesman who had done that for so many people, in my instance, then tried to sell me the same shelving. And I knew to read the instructions because I knew that other people had bought me at a face value that wasn't true. And so when you have that clarity, you have the ability to say, I'm not going to treat somebody else the way I was kind of treated by others. Give people the benefit of the doubt. You may have heard some not so wonderful things, you just never know, and it's always one person's opinion. Same thing with these shelves and all that. Give it the benefit of not knowing. Go in like you don't know. Give it that respect. Give it just the respect. Give yourself the respect to look at it as always a new opportunity for learning and growth, even if it's just wash, rinse, repeat. So I'm going to leave it at that. And I would love to know what you guys think, what your ace up the sleeve, your advice, your comment, your experience. Have you been the misinformed? Have you been informed? Have you sold something that wasn't accurate? Did you buy something that wasn't accurate? Anything along these lines, I'd love to hear, because I think it's important for other people to learn from what we share. It's all experiences, and that's how we get better collectively. So, guys, I hope this finds everybody in your place, pursuit, or beginnings of total health, mind, body, and soul. Peace, love, unity, solidarity, and as always, subscriptions and videos. So stick around.